have been dying to do an episode on this week's topics for weeks. So today we are digging into how to use an open house model and honestly, just my thoughts on what's working and what's not. So first, let's just talk about launching right now. So I'm in a mastermind. It has over 100 6 and 7 figure business owners in it. And I keep hearing the same message. What worked in 2020 isn't working now. And I'm like, okay, I can see that. But in my head, I'm like, well, I barely had an idea, let alone a business in 2020. So I really don't know what you're talking about. But my strategy brain knows that the environment is different right now. So what I did, not in 2020, because I didn't really have a business, but what I did even a year ago is a little bit different. So what does this mean? Well, what it means is it doesn't mean that people aren't buying. It does mean that in the market of online businesses, whatever you're selling, product, service, agency, insert all the things, it is saturated out there. There are a lot of people that are building online businesses, which I think is really, really cool because there's people for everyone, right? And so what you have to do is you have to be really consistent to stand out. Hint, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, you should. And number two is your model might need to change a little bit. So what you did last year might not work this year. It doesn't mean that it's not good. It just means that we have to pivot a little bit. So what I have personally experienced is that people are craving connection. They want to know exactly what they're buying, just like I do, and the results that you're going to get. You want to know if you're going to invest in something that you're going to get out of it what you put into it, right? So going back to my point of there are a lot of people offering a lot of products and services right now, but this is really, really basic strategy. We have to make it easy. We have to make it easy for our clients and for our customers to say, yes, we can't make our products and services complicated with 800 choices. So back to what I was talking about at the beginning, back in January, we were getting ready to launch our program called Antisocial School. And I always like to say, I like to do things differently. I like to do what feels good and what I like to do and not necessarily what the strategy book tells you to do. And sometimes they're the same and sometimes they're not. And what I knew was the program is really, really good. It's really good. I've gotten some amazing results from our clients, but I don't know how to shout it from the rooftops and be like, you guys need to do this, right? So, and I get that sometimes you don't want to read a mile-long sales page and you just need to see it to believe it. So going back to the backstory, I'm in a mastermind. I'm in this peer pod, which I love, with some amazing women. And one of my friends, Marisa, who shout out to her copy squad, Marisa Corcoran, and we were just brainstorming. We were just having a day. We were going back and forth. We were talking about launches and copy and things that we were seeing. And she was like, I think you should do an open house. And I was like, never heard of this strategy before. I mean, I kind of have when it comes to selling Tupperware or products, in the 80s, but haven't heard of it now. Side note, this is where the power of community and masterminds truly comes into play, because I would have never gotten this idea or taken it to the length that we have if I hadn't started asking questions in our group. But going back to the strategy, I created an open house model for our program when we launched it in March. And here's how we did it. So if you're listening and you're like, I want to do this too, you totally should. I'm telling everyone that they should do it because it was such a fun experience. It made launching so much less stressful and was actually fun, and it worked. So to me, that checks all the boxes of let's just do business differently. So the first thing we did is I sent out invites to this open house, which was a 1-hour event, 1 week ahead of time. This was not originally planned. Like I said, this came from this behind the scenes conversation. And I'm like, I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to do it. So the open house was 1 hour. We set a date. We set out invites. It kind of just embedded it into our launch strategy. And then inside the open house, I covered the following. One, I gave a tour of the program, but this was not the sales page, right? This was hey, I'm going to show you when you join, this is what actually happens. And this is how I do an audit. And this is how I talk to you. And this is what our Slack channel looks like. And these are the classes that you get. And these are the results. We are going deep into behind the scenes. The next thing that we did was we shared client results. And you guys know that I love a good case study. So instead of just being here's a testimonial, I actually brought clients in. But here's where the magic happened. So I had clients volunteer their time, which was amazing. And I asked them 3 or 4 questions each. So it was kind of like podcast style. Like I knew their background and I asked them specific questions to share their story and share their results. They knew the questions ahead of time, but each client had like a different story and a different perspective. So it allowed them to hear, or you to hear, all the real life updates behind the scenes. And the best part, it allowed me to highlight them, which I'm going to come back to. So after we did that, which was just like a fun, like real life in-person case study, I answered objections. So you already know the objections to your program. You know it's time, you know it's money, you know what people are asking you. And so instead of being like, oh, does anyone have any questions? I just answered them like, hey, here are questions that I get. Here are things that I think you're going to want to know. Kind of like seeing is believing. And then at the end, we just opened it up 2 questions. We sent out the replay. We made a highlight reel of all of our clients, highlighted them in our email. And the cool part is a lot of our clients made connections in the open house and even got new clients from it. So it was like this huge win-win of being able to highlight your program in a way, or service or product, whatever, in a way that is really different, but also highlighting your community, which just felt really, really good. And for me, I believe that this can work beautifully for agencies, products, service providers. You could do it in person. You could do it online. Like, get creative. How do you showcase what you do in a way that is just different, that people are craving to see? Like, how do you show your future clients proof? So it's kind of like, I always use Apple as an example. It's kind of like walking into a virtual Apple store in my head where like, it's like this magical experience and like everyone is there to help you have the best time and make the best purchase. And then when you leave, you feel like, oh, that was great, right? Even though you spent like $1 million on a new computer. I mean, Apple is always the best case study, but that's what they're doing. They're creating this open house where you can just experience the things that are going on. So now I'm obsessed with this model. I'm obsessed because it helps me explain things to you in a way that I think resonates, but also it helps highlight our clients and they're getting results from it too, which feels just like a win-win. So because I can't do things small, we created another version of the open house model for our mastermind program. And this is a little bit different. So this is called Experience Week and it's an entire week. So 5 days, which is 100% based on your feedback, based on this open house model strategy. So for 5 days, you can actually experience our entire mastermind. So day 1, I'm actually teaching. You get to hear me teach and ask questions. And we're teaching our income stacking strategy, which is like, how do you build a profit model where you don't have to create more? Like, who doesn't want to learn that, right? Then we're going into like Q&A and office hours, because that's something that we do inside our mastermind every single week. Then we're moving into the actual open house, right? But we also have a full day where you get to meet our team. I'm showing you Slack. You get full access behind the scenes to our team for an entire week, and we'll answer any single question you have about your business strategy. So it's a really, really cool model. But the last piece I actually built off of the first time we did it, and that is I want to highlight our students. So we have some students coming in who are going to tell their story. We also have them teaching to you, kind of digging into like it's a supportive community and we all know different things and we're all learning from each other. And so if you're like a rock star entrepreneur and you're like, yes, I want to try this because you've been thinking about joining strategic based community and mentor circle, then this is something you definitely want to try. You can just go to hollymariehaynes.com/experience, or you can just DM me experience and I'll send you all the details, but you're going to see this open house in full effect, right? You're going to see the model come to life and then you're going to get to experience it yourself. So I honestly think Experience Week is a no-brainer. I would say, don't let fear hold you back. You can see if the collective community is a good fit. You can check out this awesome launch model. You can see how we do things behind the scenes. So I hope, if anything, that you can hear the excitement in my voice when I'm talking about this open house model. because it's so powerful to be able to show your future clients what you can do and let them experience it. So again, I hope you join us inside our full experience week. It's hollymariehaynes.com/experience, or just shoot me a DM with the word experience and I'll send you all the details. But I'm super curious. Do you like this model? Have you tried it? How cool is it that you get to show your clients and let them make a super informed decision? I want to know how you're going to use this to work for you.